There's Rex. He usually sleeps on the bed. It's almost 8 o'clock. Wow. T-Rex spent the whole night out here on his own bed. He slept very sound, huh? We did a lot of walking yesterday. What's the temperature outside? Oh, it's 51. It's warming up. I can see the steam in the background though. There it is. 51. It's warming up. Steam in the background would be the vent from the boiler downstairs, or whatever you call them nowadays, water heaters. 63 indoors, and it's a very gray sky. That thermometer in the kitchen, I think it's about the same age as me, probably 60 years old. And my father put this thing upside down with south up top because it faces south, the house. So the air is from the southeast, and there's the clock, 8:05. It's been a few minutes. I put on my wireless mic, and the temperature inside, thank you for this clock, thermometer is falling. The temperature is falling. I caught some time there. 63 degrees, sorry about that. And these are Cape Cod weather instruments, and I've had my dad put up probably about 50 years ago, and they still work. So there's very little wind right now. T-Rex, let's go look at the day. What's going on? Stop right there. You're tied up. Stop. He always wants to go next door. That's where Mom and Dad lived before they went to their eternal resting place in the sky. Always watching down on us with a gray sky this morning in South Venice. We are not raining yet. You know, I thought the rain was starting about 4 times yesterday with the mist, so it's a slow starter, but there's a lot of precipitation out there. Temperature says 52 right now, but as the rain begins, the dew point in the 40s will come up a little bit, and the temperature will come down a little bit. So I think once it does start raining, it'll be about probably 49 degrees, very close to the water temperature over the Atlantic Ocean right now. Such a dynamic situation. Competing low pressure systems coming at us. The one from the west wants to cause wind from the south. The one from the south is going to want to cause wind from the east and then the north. And so the wind forecast is always one of the most challenging. But let's start with the basics. Here is the temperature and wind roundup from about 7 a.m. That's about when I woke up. And the temperature was mostly right there around 45 to 50. But in the top of the map in Rangeley, Maine this morning, what was that, 37 or 39 degrees. And the wind is mostly from the east and a little bit east-southeast. Again, there's a low well off to our west causing, the wind to bend a little bit. So it's not a pure northeast wind for us. It's going to be more of an east-southeast and gusting probably about 25 miles an hour, most spots there at 7 o'clock this morning. And as much wind at Lake Winnipesaukee as there was on Cape Cod, which I find interesting. And let's go to the radar. And the national radar says we have the biggest game in town in the lower 48. All the precipitation is aimed at southeastern Canada and the northeastern United States. And we close it in. Here's the local view. And you have real heavy rain, at least up in the sky. Now, there can be some bright banding because the freezing level is pretty low. So it may be seeing snowflakes up high in the sky, making it look like heavy rain in Connecticut, where I think it's mostly a light to moderate rain so far. And it's not in a big hurry to get here. And you make out the circulation also in western New York. So we have 2 low pressure systems. It's called a Miller B nor'easter, when the primary low goes up into Ohio and then into southeastern Canada, and a new low forms off of Virginia. That's what's going on right now. We can look at that in a couple more ways. Here's the satellite imagery, and you can make out the circulation there in western New York. And then you can see the towering cumulonimbus, 20,000 to 25,000 foot tall rain clouds over the water south of New England. So those rain bands are going to advance in, and we're going to get waves of precipitation. And the heaviest wave of precipitation for where I am on Cape Cod is going to come in late today, probably between, well, not late today, about 1 o'clock, I think we start getting real wet. And then between 2 and 4 o'clock, we start getting soaked with drenching downpours and wind increasing. Interesting. There's always somebody around here. I don't even know who this is. We live in one of those neighborhoods where you kind of know everybody. And every time we go out the door, we get new participants. So T-Rex and I are going to go out someplace where perhaps we're not going to bark at them. Rex, come on, this way. He's always curious what's going on. All right, so another way of looking at this is the surface map this morning. And it shows a low pressure system. T-Rex, come on, let's go to the backyard. Yeah, Angela lives back here, huh? I'm teasing, and we're not really going to Angela's house. Let's check the thermometer again on the way. Oh, 53, good, like consistency in weather data. All right, where was I? The surface map. So the stronger low now is the one near Toronto. It's 1,000 millibar low. And when I see now, I mean when the sun came up this morning. And you have 1,002 low. That's the new low that's developing to the east of Chesapeake Bay. And that one's going to be the stronger one, impacting the coast. And then the other one's going to be sort of one that lags behind and is going to cause our precipitation to linger for a couple of days. That old low to the west and an upper low will come through here through Saturday. Oh boy. So let's use the NAM high res. I know it's been in the doghouse a little bit lately, but it's the best tool we have for this, especially because I can't just draw precipitation blobs like we used to do on TV. And hey, here it is. You see the rain over New York. It's marking time, and then that rain south of Long Island is becoming more intense. And here come the bands, 17Z. Now that's about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now you see the yellow heavy bands of precipitation coming into Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts, while not a lot going on in western New England. So this is primarily a coastal impact storm with the heaviest rain and wind moving through here in eastern Massachusetts and starting to move pretty quickly now this evening as the sun goes down. And you get the back edge of the precipitation with the low pressure system coming right up into Nantucket by about midnight or so, and the center of the low goes right over just a little east of where it had it yesterday, and it's a little bit tiny weaker, 997 over Monomoy between about 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and there's going to be an eye to this storm, and the wind is going to let up, the precipitation is going to let up, and that precipitation is now racing toward the north. And a wave of precipitation is going to go all the way up into Canada by tomorrow morning. But then note, a new wave of precipitation is forming over Maine. And if you've been looking, I can't say everything at the same time. The blue that was in Vermont, that's snow, and the blue reforming again in Maine, that's snow. So there is snow with this system here on our unofficial start to Memorial Day, well, to summer Memorial Day weekend. And how much snow, that's going to be a tough one. I'll try and show that in a moment. But we want to talk about the wind and rain. Let's go to the rain first. Well, that was 2 p.m. I'm sorry, I stopped that map at 2 p.m. on Saturday. The first low had moved all the way up into Canada, and that's a new low that had formed. The old low from New York is going to reform right over Penobscot Bay at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Oh, my goodness. And even though it doesn't show a lot of precipitation in southern New England, it is going to be a gray, cool day. But there's not a lot of wind there. Not a very windy Saturday in most of New England, but a cool gray day with the 540 cutoff up in the sky, very unstable. And that's 2 p.m. again. All right, so now let's go to the QPF. The precipitation and the blue is when you get to a ½ inch precipitation. Look at that. It quickly goes to purple. Now you're talking 1 to 2 inches of precipitation, and then you see a few spots getting almost towards a yellowish color, and that would be a 4-inch. So it looks like, I would say, probably about a 1.5 to 2.5 inch rainstorm in those heaviest rain bands. The yellow south of New England, that is 4 inches, but that's mostly over the ocean. And you see the elevation QPF is really obvious from the high country of southern Vermont through the presidential range up into Maine, where the wind from the southeast is going to really cause the enhancement of the precipitation. Talk about wind from the southeast reminds me I wanted to show Mount Washington. The web cameras on Mount Washington are socked in with ice and snow. It's been freezing here now for 3 days. The wind is coming from the southeast now on Mount Washington. All right, there's the temperature and weather. Oh, wow, here comes our first big gust. But I have on my noise canceling microphone, so it didn't make much of a big deal. Here is the data on Mount Washington as the sun was coming up this morning. The wind from the southeast, a direct charge from the Atlantic Ocean at 50 miles per hour. Wow, that causes upslope from the southeast. Usually we talk about upslope, but from the west, but in these nor'easters, it's from the east and the southeast, and that's when Mount Washington and these mountains like Sunday River and Sugarloaf in the wintertime can get the most snow of anybody. And it is snowing on Mount Washington, but the snow level is probably only going to come down to about 2,500 feet. The temperature is about 24, 25 degrees there, and it's not going to move much. It's going to fluctuate up and down a little bit, but the freezing level is probably going to stay below 5,000 feet. And at times in the heavy precipitation, it's going to come down to 2,500 feet. So I would say below 2,500 feet, it's not going to accumulate any snow. There may be some snow down to 1,000 feet in the air, but not accumulating. All right, so I've already talked about snow. So here it is, the snow accumulation guess from the NAM, and I'm not using accumulation, I'm using depth, snow depth. That's a little different. That tries to account for the actual amount of snow on the ground, not just the hypothetical 10 to 1. And it's just a coating. The light blue is and maybe up to an inch or two above 2,500 feet in southern Vermont. But once you get above 5,000 feet, there's only one mountain that does that, Mount Washington. There could be, my guess for Mount Washington is 14 inches of snow. And for you, Rangeley, Maine, Russ Murley, talking about snow, maybe you'll see snow at your house, but I would say a place like Sugarloaf may get probably about 3 or 4 inches up high. So you really have to probably go to Mount Washington if you're searching for deep snow. And I don't think it's going to be actually going to be powder snow. All right, enough with that. How about the wind? The wind forecast is pretty tricky too. All right, the colors here go in miles per hour, and the blue is 20 miles per hour. These are the wind gusts, by the way. It doesn't have the barbs. In New York, those wind gusts are from the south with the other low, and here in eastern New England, the wind is from the east, and then there's a gap in between with very little wind in western New England. So this is primarily a coastal, and here it comes. Once you get into the red, now you're talking gusts past 50 miles an hour. And once you get into the yellows there, right on Nantucket and the outside of Cape Cod, those are gusts past 60 miles per hour this evening. And then there's the eye of the storm going calm at 2 a.m. over Nantucket Sound. And the heavy wind then moves north up toward the coast of Maine. And that eye feature, not a real eye, just a calm spot in the middle of the low. You don't get eyes of nor'easter, although they appear like that on satellite and everything, but not technically an eye. Going over Penobscot Bay tomorrow morning, and then the wind is really letting up quickly tomorrow, and it's going to be from the west and southwest and getting gusty along the south coast of New England here. Now that's Saturday at 2 p.m. So Saturday at 2 p.m., the wind part of this is just about done, and those gusty winds in Nantucket Sound are from the west and southwest then on Saturday. All right, are we done with this short-range forecast? I think we are. The precipitation amounts are not enough to cause flooding, but enough to wash this pollen away. And the next pollen up is the pine pollen. And so the pine pollen is really heavy and yellow, but at least it doesn't have these oak, like the oaks. It doesn't drop a ton of mess on the ground. So we're going to be washing all that away. Hydrangea, look at that hydrangea, love to be hydrated. And it's going to be great for the hydrangea. Not so good for growing grass unless we can get the temperature to go up. And when is the temperature going to go up? Here's the 10-day meteogram from weather.us for Boston, Massachusetts. Using the GFS, it shows the temperature pretty much stuck near 50 degrees, very close to the water temperature. Today, tomorrow, the GFS is printing out, I can't remember, I think it's 2.1 inches of rain for Boston between now and tomorrow night. And then on Saturday, the clouds will thin out a little bit. We may see the disk of the sun, but it's still very chilly with the temperature still in the 50s. And then Sunday, clouds still here getting thinner with the temperature still in the 50s. And then Monday, of course, on Memorial Day, when people are starting to move back from wherever they go for the weekend, the temperature goes back up into the 60s. And then next Tuesday, the clouds are increasing. And guess what? Another nor'easter, very similar to this one, but weaker. But slower moving is forecast for here next Tuesday night, Wednesday into Thursday, with the temperature again going back down and the wind coming in from the northeast again next week. And to see that, we use the GFS. Move along, Tim, move along. 13 minutes in, more than that actually. GFS, and it's been doing a pretty good job. I would say it's kind of beating the Euro on this one. Call it a tie, because the Euro had us with a dry Wednesday. The GFS was kind of wet Wednesday, but the Euro had the whole system missing us. There it goes, up across Nantucket and then into the Gulf of Maine. That's the new low that's forming, and then the upper level low and a new surface low forming right over New England tomorrow night, and it keeps the precipitation going in northern New England. The blue is snow, the green is rain. So the mountains are still snowing on Saturday, and this is, all right, now getting out into Sunday, now we look mostly dry, still kind of gray, breezy from the northwest and west on Sunday. And then Monday, finally, we're getting some ridging. The high pressure system coming over and moving out on Sunday, and you have a new system crossing the nation, and it does look like there's going to be a pretty good dose of severe weather with that when it crosses the Mississippi River on Tuesday. But then we're going to be on the cold side, so there's going to be a warm front coming at us, and once again you have a low pressure system going to near Toronto. It's a weaker low. What's that, around 1007, and redeveloping right over Long Island, again around 1007 millibars, so not as strong, but it's slower moving here Wednesday into Thursday, with the rain continuing, and especially in southern New England, and cold wind, and not as windy, and probably not going to call that a nor'easter. It's a wave on a front, and that front is gradually going to go away about next, looks like Thursday into Friday. But then we have a new trough digging down the Mississippi River Valley, and here comes Friday night and next Saturday. We're all the way out to day 10. We're now at May 31st. Saturday is another low on the south coast of New England, with more rain possible next Saturday. We stop it there at 8 p.m. on next Saturday, and you see the thickness is up in the 564 range, so that's a warm air mass. But the problem is there's going to be a surface flow from the east and northeast. If this is right, we're talking day 10 now, that would have us on the cool side with sort of sticky weather and showers and thunderstorms, if this is right. But note what I see here, a big change to the pattern is right over the middle of the nation, where we've had so much severe weather lately. There's a 1023 high there near Colorado and Wyoming, and the 552 thickness with a cutoff flow over Missouri. That would be cold, the record cold over the middle of the nation, where they've suffered so much severe weather over the last 10 days. Wow. So this is so dynamic, so much going on. Yeah, we are on a warming planet, but the cold is fighting back. As long as it keeps getting dark at the poles, there's going to be cold around, and anomalous cold is equal or more of a role than the anomalous warmth when it comes to all this severe weather and weird weather. So yeah, snow in New England on Memorial Day weekend. Monday looks good. Oh, and the Fagawi, Nantucket sailboat race. I haven't even thought about that too much. I kind of forgot. Memorial Day kind of coming in so early this year. It does not look that bad for racing on Saturday. It actually looks like pretty good sailing weather. It's just going to be kind of cool and gray. So maybe those people that just go to party on Nantucket, I resemble that remark a long time ago. I used to do that. Will not enjoy the weekend, but the sailors should like it if you're just purely into it for the sailing. All right, so we've ended up at here passing 15 minutes, 16, 17 minutes, and we're looking at Angela's Iris. Angela's Iris, and beautiful garden, and T-Rex just wishes he could go in there and get some breakfast. No, T-Rex, you're coming back to our house for kibble, whether you like it or not. So the Enmore is going to be an easy one today. Nothing fancy, just kind of going around yesterday, looking at the gardens and the birds and the sky and going down the beach for a minute. We did end up going to Bayview Beach to check out that anemometer that Paul Marabellis put up 2 years ago here on Bayview Beach. That's the most extreme high-performance anemometry, he calls it. Mayor Pam, extreme performance anemometry, the best anemometers in the world, from our friend Paul in New Hampshire. And Charlie Orloff and I are going to chase to his anemometer in Wellfleet today. And otherwise, we went up to Scargo Tower at the end of the day, and we'll close it out with some time-lapse and music from the top of Scargo Tower. So the whole tone of this whole out-the-door weather and more is about to downshift into sleepy. You're feeling sleepy. I call these a sleep aid. A lot of weather and a lot of nature. And here you go with the Enmore from yesterday. Thanks for watching. Look at these head-high hosta on T-Rex in the jungle. Look at this one, Rex. Look at this one. Okay. Enmore. There's a brown dog, 11 a.m. on Wednesday. Starting to feel a couple of raindrops. We haven't had a horse in out-the-door weather and more in a while. Good morning, Peaches. How are you doing? Breakfast time? Want to come over and say hello? Hi. Nice to see you. I don't have any food in my hand right this second. I should have brought you something. You gonna nibble at my glove? T-Rex, did you see the big dog over here? Rex, it's your brother. Peaches is like, he doesn't have any food. I'm going back. I understand. I'll get you something. I just served a bunch of food and he's snoozing. So that's what he needed. It was a good walk. Sure, the birds are singing now and it's quiet. 3 in the afternoon. First steady raindrops. We're gonna do the rinse cycle now. Rex, can you make these stairs? Come on. Kind of steep. Nice. Good job. Checking on the state of the beach. I think I hear a chickadee. Chickadee-dee-dee-dee. Beach is in pretty good shape. I guess I already showed that a couple weeks ago. What's that little bird, Whitey? It was just standing in the water. Seems to be a really fast flyer. Let's see if I can catch it. In flight, that is. Some kind of piper or tern or something. So this is brackish water. It's got a long bill, like you can pick things right out of the water. And he made a little noise for us. What was that, Whitey? And this bridal wreath, decades old, in perfect full bloom right now. A good 7 to 10 days later than the Weymouth bridal wreath. It's cardinal. Another one. So this is a nice, easy, low-key, and more. Birds and flowers and sky. King's Row. More birds. Hello, birds. Oh, I can hear the red-winged blackbirds. Means there's some fresh water around here somewhere. Oh well, I thought I was going to be mostly quiet. But I just got to see what's going on back here. Yeah, that's a good sized stump. They're grinding it up over there. Gotcha. All right, looks like Chaser Merchant team has gone home. So it's really interesting. This erratic. They had to move in erratic. T-Rex, I think I'm gonna leave you in the car for a moment while I wrap up the days and more from a place that used to have a great view from right here, but now you gotta go up there to get the view because from what I heard, this is private property. And so they don't want to see it into their yard or whatever, I don't know. But somebody trying to take it into their own hands. Yeah. Scargo Tower. We've been here plenty of times. 5:30 p.m. up in the treetops, looking at the oak catkins high over Cape Cod Bay and Scargo Lake. It's drizzling. Wind is swirling. Often these big storms start with drizzle. But we can almost connect the storm that went by last weekend with the storm that's coming in right now and makes days 4 and 5 with wind from the northeast. So one more real heavy pollen to go. Those pine catkins. At least those don't drop as much of a mess as the oak ones, but they drop a lot of yellow. And after they're done, then we wash our windows. In the meantime, Mother Nature's taking care of it for us. Washing the pollen away. We might do it again next week too. That's it for today. I think both the Weymouth cam and the Bass River cam are making time lapses, so here's yesterday's weather today. Which is weird to say because it's Wednesday where I am and it's Thursday where you are if you're watching this on the same day we edited. Weymouth, they were grading the beach down below high tide line. Weymouth Big Dig today. Gray and chilly. Looking down at the
district on Cape Cod Bay. P-Town over there, but we can't quite see it, can we? Oh, yeah, we can. I can. And Bass River. Went out that door again. Hopefully we'll get Steve and Mitt back tomorrow. Charlie Orloff and TK storm chasing to the National Seashore for tomorrow's and more. Beautiful. All right, that's it. Love the sounds of the birds. There's Sandy Neck. Weathered many a storm, as it does with this one. Thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow.